Hey, Gadgets family. Today we are going to be launching our XCAP BMS, or we're kind of relaunching them. So we actually had these as our XCAP No Flex batteries probably about 6 to 9 months ago, and we really felt when we dropped that solution that it wasn't the best solution available. So we pulled that stock after about 3 or 4 months, and we decided, you know what, let's go back to the drawing board and come up with something that is extremely easy to use, that's renewable, that's efficient, and requires no programming. So today we're happy to launch XCAP BMS Battery Management System. It's going to be for about 10 different models, iPhone XS and newer, and we're going to be doing a live demonstration, start to finish, of an 11 Pro Max, actually my old phone. And the cool things about this are there are going to be no battery programming. It's going to have a Tag-On Flex. That Tag-On Flex is soon going to be renewable and reusable. So you're going to be able to not have to buy a brand new Tag-On Flex for every single battery that you're replacing. It's also going to it has the data in it to automatically program the battery to 100% as well. So you're not going to have to use an aftermarket programmer like a JC or a Chun-Li or even ours. But it's going to make the repair really quick and easy. And your overall extra added time is probably going to be 5 to 10 minutes compared to a normal battery repair. This is going to allow you to take a battery and have no warnings or error messages and really input that genuine new battery health into your client's phones. So with that said, I'm going to let Brad take over the technical information and demonstration for you guys. And I'm gonna take a back seat. I'll probably come back a little bit later and maybe start it up or not. I don't know how excited I'll be, but we'll get there, and I'm excited for you guys to see this. So
cool. Thanks, RJ.
Let's do it.
Yep. All right, guys. So what I'll do first is just kind of show you what this phone current status is. So it does have OEM battery, does have battery health, but we're sitting at about 83%. So we're gonna go ahead and change this battery, and I'll show you how to use our XCAP BMS and retain that battery health, and then we will go ahead and update the battery health to 100%. So we'll shut it down, and I went ahead and done a disassembly of the battery, so it's already pre-removed. So basically what we'll start out with is our OEM battery, and what we're going to be doing is removing the actual board that's covered up. So I'll show you guys how to unwrap and expose the battery, and I'll show you how to remove it safely and transfer it over to our XCAP battery. So what we want to do first is to go ahead and remove this adhesive covering that's on the back. I'll apply a little bit of alcohol to help loosen up this adhesive. So there's just a tape cover here. Just pull the tape back. And up under it is also a plastic cover that protects the board. Show you guys what that looks like. And you'll see too that the board is wrapped up, so it will unfold when you begin to unwrap and pull the adhesive off. So we have a couple pieces of adhesives, and then we also have a plastic cover in here as well. And I'll show you about wrapping everything up once we get everything transferred over. So once you have the board exposed, you'll see that we have two leads here that are also, as you can see, I'm not sure if this is focused well enough, but they're laser welded here to the contact points on the BMS. So I'll show you why that's important when I begin to show you guys what the XCAP BMS is when we unpack it. So what we'll do is we'll unfold the leads, and we'll use our ceramic scissors here to go ahead and cut the leads. We've seen some demonstrations before using metal regular kitchen scissors, not safe at all. So what you want to do is just want to line in between the battery cell and the BMS and just cut the lead. Don't reach across and cut the other, just flip the battery over. You don't want to arc these, but again, this ceramic helps prevent that. But again, you still want to just flip it over and cut it straight off. So we're done with the cell now. The most important part is just keeping these intact, and the board is very fragile, so you don't want to bend it or anything. So I'll unfold these tabs that we'll be spot welding to. One second, I just gotta grab a tool, guys. So one little tip that I like to do is go ahead and clean up these pads where we have some of the residual lead from the battery cell. So we just use our little sharpening pin here. We're just gonna grind down these welds on these pads just to give us a clean surface area to get to. So you can see that came right off pretty quickly. This side will be a little more work just because it's a nickel lead, the other one was aluminum. So that's one thing that we fixed on our new XCAP BMSs is the fact that we have dual nickel leads coming out of the cell. On the first iteration we had some problems with one of the leads being aluminum. There we go. So now we got that cleaned off, we're ready for spot welding. So I'll show you guys what I was talking about on the XCAP BMS. So to unbox it, you'll see here that you have your battery cell, you have the adhesive wraps and your protective covers, and then we also have some adhesive pre-installed to the BMS area to go ahead and secure the board once we get it spot welded. So we have also already pre-cut these leads to be the right length, so they're not too long, they should just be the proper size. And then you can see here that where at one point we had our aluminum lead, we have dual nickel, and the nickel on this side is also laser welded. So we showed you on the OEM BMS that the leads were laser welded there. So we had some testing and we chose the laser weld over what this is, the ultrasonic welding. You can see on the ultrasonic welding it looks a little different. Technology for application is different, but it's a very weak application and we had lots of QC issues. You can see here that the adhesive is the only thing even holding this lead on. So the laser welding was a lot better and safer option for us. So that's what we opted for here. This adhesive, sometimes you have to press it down into its slot. But it's basically just going to be to secure and hold the board once we get it in place. So what we want to do is we just want to line our board and our battery up together. Alright guys, so we got our BMS board lined up here with our battery. Next thing we want to do is just spot weld the pads. So we want to create a brace point on the farthest left side and then touch right beside it, and then right beside it again, and then just keep going down till we run out of contact space. And then I'll brace on the opposite side and then come back and retouch the same welds. I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. Okay guys, so now that we have that secured, move our spot welder out of the way. What we want to do is we want to begin to wrap up the battery and put our protective cover on. So the protective cover just slips over the edge here to protect the actual board. So it just slides on like so. We use our final wrap here. We'll just use the wrap to give the battery a nice clean looking finish, like it did when it was originally removed. Okay. So now we're ready to install it into our device here. It's going to be a couple of important steps. Because of the encryption that Apple started putting on the battery data, starting with iPhone 11, we now use Tag-Ons. So we have some new Tag-Ons that are releasing with our XCAPs. So these basically you'll install just as normal. The cool thing about these is that they come pre-programmed, so they're already programmed for 100% health and 0 cycle. So you're going to want to connect this to the bottom connector here.
Battery a little bit.
So what we're going to do is we're going to actually fold this flex backwards like this, so that when our tag on here is parallel to our OEM flex, it will just connect right in. Like so. So once that's secure, you can fold this back over, and now it's ready to install. So inserting the battery into the slot. So we just want to connect both the connectors on the battery, top and bottom of the board. Sometimes I have to connect them before I install them. And on the 11 Pro Max, you can hold this flex out of the way. So we got the bottom connected. And top connected. Next step here is very important. So when we boot this phone for this first time, we're not going to use the power button at all. You have to use the lightning cable. So this is a very important step, and it is required. So you want to use your lightning cable plugged into the wall, and that's how you want to boot the phone for the first time. Don't touch the power button, just plug it in. It's just part of the method to engage with these pre-programmed tag-ons. So give it a few seconds to let the phone boot up with the cable. And just a warning, you will get a non-genuine part message on this first boot up. That is to be expected. Don't freak out. You haven't done anything wrong. There's nothing malfunctioning. I'll show you once we do see that. We'll just power down the phone, and then on the second boot, you can boot it with the power button. And then at that point, the new data will be injected and you'll see 100% health. So now that the phone is booted with the cable, I'll let it boot up, and then I'll show you guys here that we will have a battery message pop up. So important battery message, unknown part. Like I said, that's to be expected. So we'll go ahead and power down the phone. So combo button, slide the power off. Go ahead and let the phone power all the way down. And then at this point now we can boot it with the power button, and then we'll see the success that we're looking for. So booting it one more time with the power button.
You want to mention how it's aftermarket trade on there too about the FXIC?
Yeah, so if you guys might have recognized the phone before, this is the same device from the FXIC video. Me and Akshay did a demonstration on his same phone. So this phone also won't have a screen message, but you can see here that it is aftermarket and we have his OEM IC installed here. So if we go into battery, we go into battery health. Now you can see that we're at 100%. So that's what we're looking for, no battery message. So again, when you do see that first battery message on that first boot with the cable, don't freak out, just power down, reboot. These Tag-Ons do come pre-programmed, so you won't need any aftermarket programmer at all. Just make sure you grab XCAP BMS and the Tag-Ons for them, and you should be as happy as we are with the success and the progress that we've had with this project. So it's been a long time coming. We appreciate your patience through this. So we'll take the time. We'll be available on chat and on Facebook and phone. If you have any questions or need any kind of assistance with this project, make sure you give us a call, and we'll be glad to assist you with whatever you need. So I'll give Akshay a moment, see if he wants to come back on and say anything. If not, we'll kind of wrap things up here, and we're excited to have this for you guys. So XCAP BMS, grab it while it's hot.
Actually, I'll ask you a couple of questions.
Cool.
So one, like we said, we're not going to need them to actually swap these the Tag-Ons in the future.
Yeah.
So how's that process going to work?
Cool. Yeah. So let's go ahead and unplug the device here. Let's power off the phone.
And as you guys saw, there was no programming there. It was literally just a reboot. But we can't stress how important enough the plugging in the flex cable, the lightning cable is. If you don't do that process, it's not going to work properly. That's just the way we have configured these. And these Tag-On flexes only work with the XCAP BMS batteries. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. So it's not going to work with other brand batteries. We have pre-programmed these for our batteries. And they'll actually work with the OEM batteries too, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Cool. So what we've done here is basically we went ahead and removed the Tag-On. So I'm just unfolding the OEM flex back so we can install it.
And also, we're going to have a link to all the parts, the tools, and the description in our YouTube video, as well as our Facebook videos and everything. So if you guys are looking for certain parts, feel free to message us. I'll make sure to tag Brad when we do post this, but we will have a link to all that stuff in the video. Like we have these little mechanic trays and other trays. If you decide to use them to solder or spot weld the batteries, Brad freehanded it in our video explanation here, but you can use these trays and they might be more helpful just depending on your skill level. I wanted to open up one of these battery packets to show you guys what's included with them. So in each of these is going to be the battery itself. I know Brad walked you through it, but it's going to have the little bracket here to cover up the welds and the actual battery management system flex cable, as well as the covers. So it's got 2 of those, or 3 of those, it just depends on what model, as well as the positive and negative lead covers. So it's got everything you need, so that the process of the repair should be pretty easy for you guys.
Cool. Just getting this connector to cooperate.
Yeah.
Cool, got it.
I'm glad you're doing that part because I suck at it.
Right. So we'll power this back on, and I'll just show you how the help this management system is still retained, even though that we have the Tag-On removed. I just reseated the connections.
Oh.
Alright guys, so now we have everything booted back up, Tag-On is removed, going into our battery health, and you can see we're still at 100%.
Yep.
So just to talk about that as well,
I'll just zoom in on that so they can see.
Yeah, these two devices here, iPhone 11, iPhone 12. I went through some stress testing with not installing these Tag-Ons permanently. So these devices here, they've been power drained and power cycled and stress tested for weeks and months on end. So they've probably been through 10 to 20 charge cycles each, and never once has original data resulted back. So it's maintained the 100% health and degraded naturally thereafter. So we're confident in this solution with providing you these pre-programmed Tag-Ons, not having you to introduce the programmers into the repair process, and then also to remove the Tag-On and install it fully and maintaining that health percentage. So we're very excited about this whole process again. So I'm glad Akshay did kind of mention that there at the end. We wanted to definitely show you that. So without further ado, we're going to wrap this up, and I hope you enjoyed everything. Again, if you have any further questions, drop them below and we'll get to you as quick as possible. Again, I'm Brad with Injured Gadgets, and we appreciate your time and business. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.